please. Sampson, MP Sampson.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you all five of you for your presentation today and the role you play in helping recognize our men and women who serve. It's so important. I'd like to focus my question to two groups, Carolyn and David, because I want to talk about modern day veterans and if we're recognizing them and to what extent, how can we do better? So, of course, on March 31st was the 7th anniversary of the end of the Afghanistan war. And, there are modern day veterans who feel that their dates are not on the cenotaphs from 2001, 2014, the role Canada played in peace and the service of peace, if you want. And some of them are quite frustrated. I have a constituent, retired Chief Warrant Officer Robert Thompson. He's been the champion of this issue for a number of years now. And by his count, about 7,500 cenotaphs across the country are failing to recognize the Afghan vets. So my question to both of you would be, how can we, are we recognizing them in some way, shape, or form now in your institutions? And if so, how are we doing it? And how can we do it better as we move forward? Thank you. We'll start with Caroline.
Merci, Mrs. Sampson. It is a very important question. You're quite right. And again, if I come to this from a public institution point of view, this is something. If I start from a collecting point of view, it's something it's a bit of a challenge for us because we want to be able to collect these stories, but these veterans still are in possession of these objects, and they're not quite ready to let them go. But we have other ways to record their stories. So modern day veterans, of course, are among the individuals we hope to interview and record their stories. So that's how we're recognizing those stories. We've also very recently, as I was mentioning in my opening statement in 2017, updated our permanent galleries to tell the story from Cold War to Afghanistan. And that was a very important project for us because we were able to give a voice to these as we would call them, these modern day veterans. So we have some very, very poignant and relevant stories. And it's so important to tell, you're right, because it's in our living memory. We're maybe a bit used to commemorating events that happened 100 or 75 years ago, but these are conflicts that most of us still remember. So it's very important to tell. And perhaps,
thank you, Caroline. Maybe
okay.
I can have David
sure.
chime in because I have another quick question. So go ahead, David.
Yeah, I'll be really quick. So for the Commonwealth War Graves Commission, as I stated in my opening statement, our mandate is very clear. The First World War and the Second World War, and even within those two periods, very specific. So even if veterans who came back from the First World War, for example, died outside our mandate period, we don't take care of them as the Commonwealth War Graves Commission. They're cared for by Veterans Affairs Canada. And so it's difficult for us because we honor all of our veterans. We want to do that. Yeah. So even example at Beechwood, there isn't a separate section for the Afghan veterans.
Thank you, David. But again, we're looking at how we could do it. So maybe that'll be an addition. That being said, I'll come back to you, Caroline. How can we apply, if you want, an Afghan veterans lens to from now on what we do in commemorating?
Well, I think it's relating, making their story relevant to people today. So I think that, again, speaking to their experience, because in my view, it's important to for people to connect with what these veterans have experienced. And we're talking about making sure that the contribution of Canada on the international level is known, and I think that's very important. And just to finish that off, we are getting a lot of that feedback from educators across the country who really want us to integrate those very modern stories and experiences in the tools that we provide teachers. So it's to engage those veterans in telling those stories, and it can be a challenge. Not everybody wants to talk about it.
Thank you. I know my time's probably running out, but David,
it is.
Just with your expertise, how easy would it be to put those dates on the cenotaphs, the 7,500, that we don't have them on now?
2-second
From a-
question, 2-second answer, please.
From a pure physical
Yes.
ability,
Yes.
easy.
Yes.
From a political perspective, maybe not so easy.
Okay, thank you.
Up